Hey guys, Jeff here, and welcome to Botanical Book Club. So about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I did a poll on Instagram to see if people would be interested in doing a bit of a book club all about books that are all about plants. So I'm going to I'm hoping to do a combination of non-fiction and fiction books, where plants are either the main subject or just play a major theme in terms of the fiction stuff. So with non-fiction books, I'm going to be aiming at to try and do books that are sort of cover a broad area, but I probably will do some that are sort of area specific, because I'm aiming to sort of talk about books that I find really helpful and useful and things that have essentially helped me on my journey with learning about plants and learning about the environment. So the reason I thought this might be an interesting idea is because I myself am a plant nerd and I'm also a book nerd. So I studied creative writing at university, and now I work in conservation. And I figured there's probably some other people out there that are much the same as me, and I thought it'd be a cool little thing to do. So these videos are going to be out on the second Wednesday of the month, probably, just because today's a Wednesday. I figured that'd be easy to do, even though today might be the first Wednesday this month. I didn't actually check that. But yeah, I was just going to talk about a book each month, and at the end of the video I'll sort of show what book will be for the next month. So this month's book is Bring Back the Bush by Joan. I did a story on my Instagram page about this, that this would be the selection that we'd use, or the book that we'd select I should say. And yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about it, what I like about it, why I think it's a really great book that anyone interested in conservation should pick up no matter where you are in the world, because it just has some really good broad information and also some good specific stuff if you are sort of in Australia. But yeah, there's a lot of good broad information and techniques and ideas that I think would serve anywhere in the world. So yeah, I'll just get into this book. So this is out of print. You can only really get it second hand, unfortunately. You might be able to borrow it from a library or something, but it is a really good book. I think this is a second edition printing of it. There's a different cover. I got this at a second-hand shop at a garden open day. But yeah, so I was pretty lucky to find that. But essentially, what the book is it just talks about the Bradley method of bush regeneration, which the Bradley sisters sort of developed this method of weed control and restoring bushland in Australia to more like what it would have been like before all the exotic species got introduced and a lot of weeds took over. We have a pretty big problems in Australia with environmental weeds. But it goes through a lot of things. I'll just read the contents out, well, not all the contents because it's quite long, but I'll just read the sort of headings out so you get a bit of an idea of what this covers. So it starts off with a bit of an introduction and a little bit of a backstory about how they got involved in sort of weed control and bush regeneration. And then we've got the 3 principles, which are one of the best parts of this book. It's just 3 simple principles about sort of that you can use when controlling weeds in the environment, but you can also apply them across a broad range. I think they work really well just as a core concept for a lot of sort of environmental work or even gardening work that you might be doing. Then it talks about the next one is plan of work. So it essentially just talks about like how to plan and like where the best areas are to start and what the best things to do are at certain times. And then we've got stuff about fire. We've got rules for working in the bush. We've got stuff about how you can get to know your plants. There's a little bit about mounting and pressing plants. There's also a good section on tools and equipment, and like techniques for weeding, and it goes through quite a bit. It's a pretty long. There's the double contents page. It's pretty long, but yeah. So it covers quite a lot of stuff, and like I said, a lot of stuff is broad. It can be used quite sort of anywhere in the world, really. But yeah, so what I really like about this book is the fact that it is just a great general overview and a great way if you're sort of, especially if you're new to getting involved in conservation. You might be starting to do bush care or something like that, or any job in the industry, then I think it's a really good place to start, just to get a good sort of broad knowledge of and a broad overview of sort of, I guess, like some nice basic techniques that really apply anywhere. So, like I mentioned before, my favourite part of this book, and I think the most valuable part of this book, is actually the first section on the 3 principles. So, essentially, just in a nutshell, they are just working from areas with more native plants and less weeds, so good areas into bad areas, minimizing your disturbance, because disturbance can lead to germination of more weeds and stuff like that, and also just mess with the environment in like the micro sort of climate of that little spot. You want to try and keep things as intact as possible and promote the regeneration of native plants, and then essentially working at a pace so to let native regeneration dictate your pace is what the heading is, which is just essentially, don't over clear. You don't want to clear heaps and heaps of weeds away, and then it all comes up to just be different weeds. So clear a bit, let some native plants regenerate, and then keep weeding around those plants until that's got a good strong foothold, and then push in a little bit further and a little bit further, and just work slowly over time. And I think that's just one of the best principles for weed control, even in the garden. If your garden, if you found it, maybe you moved into a new place, or your garden's just been let go and it's really weedy, then to start from the desirable areas of the garden that are already less weedy, and weed them first and keep weeding them, and then slowly push in like it. So it doesn't just work in the bush. I think it also works just in more home-based weed control as well. So that's my favourite thing about this, but it goes over a lot of information. I really recommend, if you're getting into bush regeneration especially, but just getting into some environmental stuff, or just after a really interesting read, this is a great book to get. If you've read it, I'd really like to know what you think and like what your favourite parts of the book are and stuff. So it's kind of the whole point of this video, is hoping that people will leave some comments, and we can talk a little bit about different areas of the book and which things people really liked. So yeah, my favourite area is actually the first bit, the 3 principles. But it also, I think it has some really good like the rules for working in the bush, I think, is a really good section too. It's just like has some really basic things, like not making piles of weed material, because there's multiple reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. Fire hazard, but also just they create obstacles. The weeds can germinate in and around them, and then make it be harder to control weeds that have got in around them. Also has really good explanations on different weed control techniques, and also the equipment section is quite interesting too, and quite good. They make these really cool tool boards that they're able to carry through the bush that have all the stuff they need, from like loppers and axes to secateurs on them, and it's just really interesting. That's it for this one, and that's it for this book. So for next month's book, for what's next month? August. I'm going to be looking at mosses of dry rainforests in southeastern Australia. This is a really, really good book if you're interested in moss. I think even if you're not located in southeastern Australia, like I think even just Australia-wide, it's a really good resource. It has a little bit at the front about general information, but then also it goes into specific species and stuff, and I'll talk about that in detail in the next one of these next month. So thanks all for watching. Let me know what you think about Bring Back the Bush, and down in the comments below. We can have a bit of a chat, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.